subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon on YouTube app.
Now we take up ray optics. Ray optics only, we call it as a geometrical optics, as you know. Here we take up the refraction. Then at the end we come to the reflection of light. You know that in studying the refraction, there is a surface of separation xy. That means if here is a air and here is a water, and that water surface you call it as a surface of separation, and here is a normal. And you know we call this as a normal because, and we draw the normal because we want to measure the angle of incidence and the angle of refraction. Suppose if a ray of light is incident, then we measure the angle from this. That's called angle of incidence. From the normal we measure. You know that in the absence of the water or other medium, ray of light would have traveled straight. Because of this medium, ray of light bends like this. And this bending, as you know, it is called as a refraction, and this angle is called angle of refraction. Suppose if your eye is 60 degree and your R is equal to, let us say, 40 degree, then this angle we call it as a deviation, and here in this case I minus R, and it is equal to 20 degree in this case. This is a deviation, as you know. When it is passing from rarer medium to denser medium. Here air is called as a rarer medium and water is called as a denser medium, as you know. Then we come to the law of refraction. First law, as you know, that it is a incident ray, reflected ray, all normal, all lie in the same plane. Second one is very important, that's the Snell's law. So you know that according to which the ratio of sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction is constant. And we call it as a refractive index, and you can call it as 1, 2. That means ray of light is passing from medium 1 to 2. Or the same thing can also be written as n 1 to 2. Light is passing from medium 1. This is the medium 1 and this is the medium 2. So we denote like this. 1, 2 means light is passing from medium 1 to medium 2. And this Snell's law only gives the definition of the refractive index. And this constant only we call it as the refractive index. So you know the refractive index, we define it as the ratio of the sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction. The meaning of the refractive index is when light is passing from rarer to denser medium or otherwise, to what extent the ray of light is bent. That's called refractive index. Here, when the light passes from air to water, you know that the refractive index is equal to 1.33, or which we call it as a 4 by 3. When the light is passing from air to glass, the refractive index is 1.5, which is 3 by 2. What does it mean? Glass has higher refractive index means glass bends the ray of light more compared to water. You remember that, that's very important. Then you have got what is known as a relative refractive index and the absolute refractive index. Before that, under normal incidence, remember this. Normal incidence means light is falling normally. Suppose you have this surface and light, this is the normal, and if the light falls normally on the surface, normally means I0 and R is equal to 0, then your refractive index will be 0 by 0, which is indeterminate form. Under that condition, we define the refractive index in terms of the velocities of light. If V1 is the velocity in the first medium, V2 in the second medium, then the refractive index is, that is medium 1 to 2 is given by V1 and V2. Very important thing it is. It's a ratio of the velocity of light in the medium 1 to the medium 2. This is called relative refraction. That means you can write the refractive index in terms of the velocity or in terms of the angle of incidence and angle of refraction. You know that absolute refractive index, and your absolute refractive index is, as you know, that n is equal to c by v. That's the velocity of light in air or vacuum. Velocity of light in air or vacuum divided by the velocity of light in a medium, and this is called absolute refractive index. Very important it is. Then let us calculate the relationship between the absolute refractive index and the relative refractive index. So as you know, for first medium we can write n is equal to c by v1, and for the second medium c by v2, and it's very important. And if you divide one by the other, that is you make n2 by n1, so c by v2 divided by c by v1, it gets cancelled and it is v1 by v2. Remember this, refractive index and the velocities are inversely related. Look, refractive index of air is 1. Refractive index of air is 1, therefore velocity is more. Look, refractive index of glass is more compared to air, here the velocity is less. In glass, refractive index is more, velocity is less. Then your n2 by n1 is equal to, remember this relation, in the place of v1 and v2, I can write it as a n12. Very important, n12. This is a very important relation. Or your n12 is equal to n2 by n1. Remember this, both are one and the same. And then in the place of n2 by n1, you can write it as sine of I by sine of r. That's very important. Therefore, your n2 by n1 is equal to sine of I by sine of r. Therefore, the important relation that you are getting is n1 sine of I is equal to n2 sine of r. It's more fundamental. Same thing can also be written as, you know that, wherever n2 is there, it is v1, in the place of n1 it is v2, and therefore you can write as v2 sine of I is equal to v1 sine of r. And you remember, it's very important, it is also called as the other form of Snell's law. It's very, very important. Again, we come to this lateral shift. So you know the meaning of lateral shift. It is laterally the ray of light is shifted. This is a slab, as you know, whose thickness is T, refractive index is N. When you allow the ray of light to fall on this is a normal. You know that the light has to pass in this direction. Because of this medium, it gets shifted like this. Again at this, if you write the normal, you know that it bends away from the normal. Remember, very important. And this particular distance RT, we call it as the lateral shift, which is a perpendicular distance between the incident ray and the emergent ray. This angle is called angle of emergence. Formula for the lateral shift is T by cosine of R into sine of I minus R. Here I is this, R is this, and this angle we call it as, I minus R. So this is T is the thickness, R is the angle of refraction, and I is the angle of incidence. And you call this distance as perpendicular distance, lateral shift. Light is getting shifted laterally. If the ray of light is incident normally, you know that I is 0, R is 0. Under that condition, your lateral shift is equal to 0. Because 0 minus 0 is 0, sine 0 is 0, note lateral shift. Lateral shift has a meaning when you incline it. The ray of light is incident at some angle. This is the direction of incident ray, that's the refracted ray. This is a perpendicular distance. And this lateral shift is maximum when it is incident at 90 degree, perpendicular. Very important it is. So when it is important, no refraction is there, sin 90 is 1. And therefore, so when the angle of incidence is equal to 90, when the angle of incidence is 90, you know that no angle of refraction, 0. Sin 90 is equal to 1, cos 0 is equal to 1. And therefore, under this lateral shift is equal to t, and that's maximum. You should remember this. But your lateral shift depends on thickness. As the thickness increases, this lateral shift also increases. It depends on I. That's how you have to recall all these things, not only the by hearting this formula. Okay, mainly your lateral shift depends on the thickness and on the angle of incidence and the refractive index of this medium and also on the refractive index of the surrounding medium. Then we come to what is known as a normal shift. So this is also a very, very important thing in case of a normal shift. See, this is your daily experience that suppose if you have a coin here, here is surface of xy and here is the normal, and look here, if you have an object in the water, this is the direction of the normal. You know that the ray of light goes undeviated like this. Suppose if the ray of light is, remember, the ray of light, if it is incident very close to this normal, very close to the normal, so we write this as the angle of incidence, this is the angle of refraction. On producing it, you will get this is the image. Actually, object in the water is here, but it appears to be here, and this distance, we call it as a normal shift. This is called as a normal shift. This total distance from here to here is called as a real depth. And therefore your u is equal to real depth, that is the depth of the water. And this particular distance, we call it as a v, that is called as a apparent depth. Apparent depth. Very important thing is your OI, which we call it as a normal shift. It is called as apparent shift. Very important. That means your object was here and it appears to be here. This distance we call it as this apparent shift, or this distance we call it as a normal shift, and it is due to the normal refraction. When a ray of light passes very close to this, we call it as a normal refraction. Very important it is. You can expect the many question on this one. Look at this example. See, here is a bird. Let us say here is a bird. Bird is in air. It is in air. Here is a fish in water. Fish is here. For a bird, this fish appears to be here. Actually, fish is here. For a bird, fish appears to be here. Bird tries to catch this one, but it cannot catch because the fish is here. So because of the normal shift, bird feels that fish is very close by. Now the bird is getting cheated. Look at the other way. This fish is an observer in water. Bird is here. For an observer in the water, for observer in the denser medium, object appears to be farther away. Fish is looking at the bird. Fish feels that the bird is here, but actually bird is here. It appears to be here. When the fish comes to the top, the bird will catch it. Now the fish gets cheated. This is due to the normal shift. And your formula for the normal shift is, remember, this is a 1, and it is u minus v. It's a very simple. If the real depth is given, if the apparent depth is given, you can calculate the normal shift. Similarly, you know that your n is equal to u by v. Very important it is. Very, very important. Another definition of the refractive index. Therefore, your normal shift, if you substitute for v here and you take u as a common factor, 1 minus 1 by n. This is the expression for the normal shift. That means your normal shift depends on the depth of that real depth, and it depends on the refractive index of the medium. Very important. Now you come to the total internal reflection, which we call it as TIR. You know that here is a surface of separation and here is an object O. When it is incident, normally you know that it goes undeviated, and when it is incident on the surface, you know that it bends away from the normal. So this is the denser medium, this is the rarer medium. You know that when a ray of light passes from denser medium to rarer medium, your angle of refraction is more, angle of incidence is less. But when a ray of light is incident at a particular angle on the surface, the refracted ray grazes the surface. Under this condition, angle of refraction is 90 degree. That particular angle of incidence, we call it as a critical angle. So critical angle is the angle of incidence in the denser medium, for which angle of refraction is 90 degree in the rarer medium. Suppose the ray of light is incident at an angle greater than the critical angle, then the ray of light comes back to the same medium. This is called the total internal reflection. That means the two conditions for the total internal reflections are ray of light has to pass from denser to rarer medium, and the second condition is that angle of incidence must be greater than the critical angle. See this critical angle, remember your critical angle is equal to 48 degree 36 minutes for water. And you know that the refractive index of water is 1.33. Whereas for water, for the glass, it is 42 degree for a glass. And your refractive index is 1.5. You know that for the diamond it is equal to 24 degree and it is for the diamond. And the refractive index of diamond is 2.42. What you will come to know? As the refractive index increases, the critical angle decreases. Therefore, if you ask me the relationship between the critical angle and the refractive index, you know that this is a denser medium, this is a rarer medium. So if ray of light is incident at the critical angle and angle of refraction is equal to 90 degree, and if N1 is the refractive index, this is the refractive index of the denser medium, this is the refractive index of the rarer medium, and the right relationship, that is for the critical angle, is equal to, remember, it's very important, it's equal to 1 by sin C is a very, so your N is equal to 1 by sin C or sin C is equal to 1 by N is a very important relationship. So this is another definition of the refractive index. So therefore, your sin C is equal to so much, and formula for your sin C is equal to 1 by N, and this can also be written as refractive index of rarer medium by refractive index of denser medium. This also you have to remember, it's very important. So you know that for air this is Nr is equal to 1, for diamond it is equal to N, and therefore sin C you will get it as 1 by N. Remember this, very important. Then you know the various applications of this, the mirage, the sparkling of the diamond, working of the total reflection prism, they are all based on this total internal reflection. And then important thing is the optic fiber. And your optic fiber, remember, it's very, very important. And in an optic fiber, it's a device which works on the principle of total internal reflection. It works on the principle of total internal reflection. Using these optic fibers, you can convey the light for any desired distance along a desired path. So this is equal to, you can, that is, it is based on the total internal reflection, and you can convey the light for any longer distance. Main application is, it is used as a endoscope in the, is a medical probe. You may have seen, for endoscopy it is used. And it is used in computers. It is used in the computers for networking. And then, so this is used in the refractometer to measure the refractive index. And it is also used in the communication, especially telecommunication, You may have seen that previously we had a metal cable. Now the metal cable are replaced by this optic fiber. You know that this is the transmitter and this is the receiver. Previously this was a metal cable. Now these metal cables, previously it was a metal cable. Now it is optic fiber cable. These are the important applications of optic fiber. We come to refraction through the prism. So these are all the refraction through prism and refractions at a plane surface. So this come under the heading called as a refraction through a plane surface. You know that prism is an optical medium bounded by three faces. Three faces. And of this, if I say ABC is the principal section of the prism, these two faces are highly polished and they are called refracting faces. This angle only we denote it by A and it is called angle of the prism. A is called angle of the prism. It's called angle of the prism. And if it is an equilateral, then this is equal to 60 degree. You know that this is a rough surface and this BC is a rough surface and it is called as a base. When you allow the ray of light to fall on this is a incident ray, angle of incidence. You know that in the absence of the prism, ray of light would have traveled straight. Because of this prism, ray of light, I1 is the angle of incidence and R1 is the angle of refraction. Again incident on this face at an angle R2. Finally it emerges out with an angle of emergence, we call it as an I2. If there were no prism, the ray of light would have gone like this. Because of this phase, ray of light is bent, and also because of this it is bent. And this angle we call it as a total deviation. We call it as a total deviation. It is very important. And this total deviation is given by, look here, your total deviation is given by, deviation from this phase is equal to I1 minus R1. I1 is more, R1 is less. And here, you know that this R2 is less and I2 is more, and we read it as I2 minus R2. It's called deviation. And therefore your formula would be I1 plus I2 minus of R1 plus R2. Remember this R1 plus R2, we call it as an angle of the prism. The expression for the deviation is I1 plus I2 minus A, equation number 1. Now you know what we do is we increase the angle of incidence. It's very important. It's 0 degree, 10 degree, 20 degree, 30 degree. We increase the angle of incidence and we calculate the deviation. So we now plot a graph of the deviation and the angle of incidence. Here is a deviation and here is an angle of incidence. If you plot a graph, you know that you'll get this kind of graph. What does it mean? As the angle of incidence increases, the deviation decreases and deviation becomes least. And this least deviation only, we call it as an angle of minimum deviation. And therefore, your I1 is equal to I2 at that particular incident. At other cases, your I1 is different and your I2 is different. Only under the minimum deviation condition, remember, very important, your small d we rate it as capital D, this is called angle of minimum deviation. And your I1 is equal to I2, both are one and the same. And your R1 is equal to R2, which is same. That means, if the light is incident at 30 degree, it will emerge at 30 degree. That's the meaning, remember that. This is very important. If R1 is 20 degree, R2 is also 20 degree. This is possible only in the minimum deviation condition. And you know the another meaning of this? Under this condition, refracted ray passes parallel to the base of the prism. That is what we say in minimum deviation condition. Refracted ray passes, very important thing, passes symmetrically through the prism. You know the meaning symmetrically through the prism? So it passes symmetrically through the prism means under that condition this refracted ray is parallel. This is a refracted ray. So if we call this as a P, Q, R and S, this refracted ray is QR is parallel to the base BC only under this condition, that's angle of minimum deviation condition. And now you substitute these values in this equation. And moreover you remember your angle of this is equal to R1 plus R2. That also you remember. You substitute these values I and R in this equation. You will find that, remember, your capital D is equal to I plus I minus A, and therefore your I is equal to A plus D by 2. It's very important. And you substitute that value here also. R plus R, it is equal to 2R. So your A is equal to R plus R. And therefore your R is equal to A by 2. Very important. So substitute these values in the expression for the refractive index of sine of I by sine of R. In the place of I, you put A plus D by 2. In the place of R, you put sine of A by 2. And this is a very, very important relation. You have to remember this. If you can remember all these things, here in this is the very important. This is under minimum deviation condition. If this is 30 degree, this is also 30. If it is 20, this is also 20, only in the minimum deviation condition. You remember these many aspects in the refraction through the prism. Question number 1. Study that question carefully. Light travels through a glass plate of thickness T. Here is a glass plate and the thickness of the glass plate is T. And its refractive index, he gives it as a mu. If C is the velocity of light in the vacuum, time taken by the light to travel this thickness is. See, look, it is very easy question. Light is incident. I is the angle of incidence. It get refracted. Finally it emerges. It's very simple question. He is taking what is the time taken to travel from here to here. We shall call it as capital T. Now, you know the basic definition of the refractive index. Your absolute refractive index is C by V. And C and V is the velocity in this medium. Velocity is given by the distance divided by the time. Velocity is equal to distance divided by the time. Here the distance is T and the time is capital T. Therefore, your mu is equal to C into capital T by small t. Where small t is the thickness. He is asking for what is the value of the capital T. There is a time taken to move from here to here. Your answer is mu t divided by C. You search for this one. Look in that the alternative is found to be, the answer is found to be A. A is the answer for this one. Sometimes this problem will be asked. Like how sometimes they will ask. They say refractive index of the glass is 1.5. They say that the thickness is equal to something around that is 2 centimeter. 2 into 10 to the power minus 2. Velocity of light is 3 into 10 to the power 8, they ask. 1.5 into 2 is 3, 3 get cancelled, and if it comes to the numerator, it is 10 to the power of 8, and it is minus 2, that comes out to be minus 10 seconds. Sometimes you will get this kind of questions also, remember. Of course, for this question number 1, your answer is this. Sometimes you put some number for these things, then also you calculate this. Those questions would appear for your examination. Now we shall come to the question number 2. As I have told that when you are in CET, you should not be satisfied only with the few question and answers. You should think if this question is asked in some other way, how to answer all these things. Look at the second question. The time taken by the ray of light to travel through a glass of thickness 2 centimeter and the refractive index 1.5 will be. See, look, this is the same thing. Here that's the same thing, and this formula is equal to it's mu t by c. What he has said, calculate the time taken, and he has said the refractive index is 1.5 and the thickness is 2 centimeter, that is 2 into 10 to the power of minus 2. And then the refractive index, he has said velocity of light is 3 into 10 to the power of 8. Same thing which I solved there, that is these two get cancelled and it is 10 to the power of minus 10 seconds. That's all. So you must be in a position to answer these questions and look at the answer there. Answer is going to be the C is the answer for this one. So this C is the answer. So very important thing, these are all. Now we come to the question number 3. The question is, a monochromatic light from air to glass whose refractive index n is refracted. The ratio of the wavelength of light, wavelength of incident light to the refracted wave will be. Look how simple it is. He said a monochromatic light is passing from air to glass. This is the one. Whose refractive index is n. The ratio of the wavelength of the light is. Look, refractive index, as you know, can be given by the formula. It's the velocity of light in the air divided by velocity of light in the medium. It is absolute refractive index. You know the formula that V is equal to F lambda. You apply here. This is F lambda in air and this is F lambda in medium. You know that, you remember very, very important thing. When light passes from one medium to the other medium, frequency does not change. This question will be asked always. Remember, very, very important thing. The frequency does not change as the light propagates from one medium to the other medium, so that I can cancel it. Therefore, your n is equal to. So what is the value there? So therefore he says your n is equal to lambda a by lambda medium. Look at the question. Ratio of the wavelength of the incident light to the refracted wave is, this is a 1, and then your answer is lambda a is to lambda m is equal to n is to 1. What is the answer there? Your answer is C. Very important. C is, you need not do any calculation here. You have to readjust. Here what are the concepts? If you ask me, sir, what is the concept here? Important concept is that here is an absolute refractive index. When light passes from A to another medium, it is called absolute refractive index. And you know that V is equal to F lambda. Here C means it is also a velocity F lambda, FF get cancelled. Therefore it is lambda A by lambda M. Therefore what he has asked, ratio of the wavelength in A to the wavelength in medium, take the ratio, so it is n is to 1. Therefore your answer is C. Very important it is. We take up the question number 4. Study the question number 4 carefully. A ray of light from a denser medium strikes a rarer medium at an angle of incidence I. The refracted and the reflected rays make an angle of 90 degree with each other. The angle of reflection and the angle of refraction are perpendicular and smaller respectively than the critical angle is. Look here. Here the light is passing from denser medium to the rarer medium. So denser medium, passing from denser medium, strikes the surface of the rarer medium. That is, this is the surface of separation. Light is passing from denser medium, and you know that it bends away from the normal, and this is called angle of incidence, this is called angle of refraction, and this is the angle of reflection we call it as, which is R dash or something else. He says the angle between these two, that is the refracted and the reflected, is 90 degree. His question is, what's the critical angle? You know that your critical angle is just sin C is equal to 1 by n. You do not know any other thing. And how to calculate the value of n? N, according to Snell's law, it is sine of I by sine of R. I is the angle of incidence, R is the angle of refraction. How to calculate that angle of incidence or the angle of refraction? See, you know that it is equal to sine of I by sine of R. Your R is this value, R dash is this value. Always your R dash is equal to, so I. Therefore, I can write sine of something like R dash, and this is equal to R. You know that R plus R is equal to 90 degree. R plus R dash is equal to 90 degree. Therefore, your R is equal to 90 minus R dash. Sine of 90 minus R dash. That comes out to be sine of R dash divided by cosine of R dash. Therefore, your n is equal to, so 1 by tan of R dash. It is a cotangent R or it is 1 by n. You substitute this value in the equation number 1, and therefore your sin C is equal to, in the place of 1 by n. If you take the reciprocal, in the place of 1 by n, you can write it as tan of R dash. And therefore your C is equal to sin inverse of tan of R dash. That's all the answer. So look at the various alternative. So it is a sin inverse of tan R dash, that is the right answer, and therefore your answer is A for this one. Look, it is very simple. Sin C is equal to 1 by n. N is equal to sine of I by sine of R, where R is the angle of refraction. You know that angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of refraction. Angle of reflection. Therefore, I can write this one. And you remember this point also always. When these two are 90 degree, you know that in this, sum of this is equal to 90 degree. Therefore, your R dash is equal to 90 minus R. This you can write it as cotangent R dash. Cotangent R dash means 1 by tan of R dash. So you want 1 by n. Take the reciprocal, substitute it there. So then, you know that here n is equal to this much, means your 1 by n is equal to tan of R dash. In the place of 1 by n dash, you substitute this, you get the value of C. It's a very important question. See, it appears to be lengthy. In the CET, you have to be so good and you have to be so fast. Means you cannot imagine that. Okay, should be really good. Next is question number 5. It's a very good question. How much of water should be filled in a container 21 centimeter in height so that it appears half filled when viewed from the top of the container? Given the refractive index is 4 by 3. Look how good that question is. You have a container. Total height of the container is 21 centimeter. He is viewing from here from the above, and he finds that it appears to be, this is called as, it appears to be the apparent depth. That apparent depth we have called it as a V, and he has said your V is equal to half of that height. That is 21 by 2, which is 10.5 centimeter. His question is, how much of water should be actually filled? That is called as a real depth. What should be the real depth, he is asking. Real depth is U. So that when it is viewed, it appears to be here. And look, this is called as a normal shift. And this we call it as a V. And your V is equal to half of this. That is, when it is viewed from the top, it appears to be half of this value. Half of this value. You know the formula for the refractive index? Refractive index is given by the formula U by V which is called as a real depth, and it is called as an apparent depth. And he has given that n is the refractive index, which he has called as a ANW is equal to 4 by 3, and your U and V he has given it as 10.5, or it is equal to 21 by 2. You can do it in any way you want. Therefore, what is your answer? U is equal to 4 by 3, for which, so if you cross multiply that, so you are getting 21 by 2. So then 3 ones are 3 sevens are, 2 ones are 2 twos are, and therefore it is 14 centimeter. So what is the answer? That's the real depth. Real depth is from here to here. The real depth of the water is 14 centimeter. So mark for the right alternative there. So the right alternative is C. So therefore your answer is C is the answer for this. That's why you understand that. What he says, he does not know the real depth. He has filled water in, so that this is called as an apparent depth, which appears to be half of the actual height. That is this much. Actual height is 21. That is from here to here. Here to here. This is an actual height. So he has given apparent depth. You know the value of refractive index. You can calculate U. It's a very good question. Next is the question number 6. The minimum diameter of the cross section of the cone of light with the surface of water due to the luminous point 8 centimeter below the surface is, look, here is surface, here is water inside. What he says is, here is an object. He says, this object is at a depth of 8 centimeter from here. Light from here, you know that when it is incident, it gets totally internally, sees the critical angle, it grazes the surface. And here also, it grazes the surface. For it is to graze the surface, you must be knowing that angle of incidence is a critical angle. Therefore, here you will get a cone. This is a cone you are getting. And you know that it is the radius of the cone. He is asking what is the diameter of that cone. You know that the diameter is equal to twice the radius. First you have to calculate the radius. And the height is equal to h. But the formula you are going to use here, you know that your sin c is equal to 1 by n. Equation number 2. And this is a alternate angle compared to this. Now you take a tan of c. If you take this tan of c here, tan of c, opposite side is equal to r, and adjacent side is equal to h, or which we call it as 8 centimeter. Therefore, your r is equal to h into tan of c. H into tan of c. See here, your h is 8 centimeter, and your c is not known, but he has given the refractive index. How to calculate that? Then what you have to do is, your sin c is equal to 1 by n, therefore n is equal to 1 by sin of c, here this is equal to 1 by sin of c, and in this expression sin c is equal to 1 by n, n is equal to 4 by 3, that's equal to 3 by 4, and which we call it as a 0.75. Therefore, your C is equal to, sin C is equal to 0.75 means your C is equal to 48 degree 36 minutes approximately. Therefore, you substitute that value in the equation number 3. Therefore, your R is equal to 8 into tan of 48 degree 36 minutes. You must be knowing that tan of 45 is equal to 48 means it is approximately maybe 1.1. Therefore, it is equal to 8.8 centimeter. When radius is around 8.8, your diameter is equal to twice the radius, and this is equal to 2 into 8.8. So this is equal to something around 7.6 centimeter. You search for the nearest value. What is the nearest value there? 18 centimeter is the nearest value and it is not the 20. Therefore, your answer for this question is A is the answer. You must be good, though it appears to be a long, famous question. But you have to be very fast in thinking these things. Diameter is equal to twice the R. You must know how this diameter you are getting. When the object is in the denser medium, light from the object is incident on the surface of the rarer medium, then you know that it is the critical angle, it grazes the surface. This is a critical angle, this is a critical angle, even this is also critical angle. Then you know that the diameter is equal to twice the radius. You do not know the radius, radius is equal to h into tan of c. If you look at this, how to calculate this c? Sin c is equal to 1 by n. And you know that it is equal to 0.75, that is equal to 3 by 4. 3 by 4 means 0.75. You know that sin of 45 is equal to 0.70. And it should be 0.75 means around 48 or so much. And critical angle for water is equal to 48. Substitute that. It should be more than 1 because sin 45 is 1. So you must do the calculation like this. Okay. Should we take up question number 7? The question is the correct relationship between the critical angle for water and the glasses. Look how to do that one. Look here. You know that your answer is critical angle of glass is 48 degree 36 minutes. That of diamond is just 42. Sorry, for water it is equal to 48 degree. So here he has asked for the water and the glass. And you know that the critical angle for glass is 42 degree. Critical angle for the water is 48 degree 36 minutes. And critical angle of glass is less. So you find the right alternative there. CW, critical angle of water is less than that of the glass. It is wrong. Critical angle for water is greater than that of the glass, and it's the right answer. Therefore, CW greater than CD is the right answer, and that answer is B. So you will have a doubt, sir, how to answer these questions. Remember, you must be knowing that this sign of the critical angle and refractive index are inversely related. See, in the synopsis I have told you, for glass, refractive index is 1.5, critical angle is 42 degree. For water, refractive index n is equal to 1.33, but its critical angle is more, which is 48 degree 36 minutes. Critical angle and the refractive index are inversely related. That is the fact for this question. Now you come to the question number 8. A ray of light propagating from glass to water. Then the value of the critical angle is, light is passing from glass to water. See, glass is a denser medium, water is a rarer medium. Light is passing from glass to water. Look at this, how simple this question is. He is asking to calculate the critical angle. Remember, your formula for the critical angle is refractive index of rarer medium by refractive index of the denser medium. This is a generalized formula, you remember. Here, glass is optically denser and water is optically rarer. He has given that the refractive index of, here you applied for water and you applied for the glass. Therefore, your sin C is equal to refractive index of water, he has given it as a 4 by 3, that of a glass is 3 by 2, and therefore it is 8 by 9. Therefore, your C is equal to sin inverse of 8 by 9. That's all the answer. Now you search for the various alternatives, sin inverse of half, sin inverse of root, and obviously the answer is C for this question is Answer is C.